Well, F1 the movie has now been released. It actually officially opens tonight. But last night, my son Derek and I went and viewed the movie, kind of a sneak preview-ish almost. And so Derek is no stranger to this podcast, and I thought, you know what, it'd be fun to get his perspective as well. So Derek, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a little bit, but always happy to get the invite to come on, and just excited to talk about F1 the movie with you.
Yeah, me too. It was interesting, we found out that it was being shown as a sneak preview at a local theater, and we said, you know what, let's go do this and just kind of get some impressions of it and then share them with you. So the movie's almost 3 hours long.
Yeah, it was pretty long. Definitely don't drink a lot of water and Gatorade before the movie begins.
I think it's fair to say that this movie was at least a one-stopper for me.
Yes. It was one stop strategy for you.
That's right, exactly. So anyway, but according to Derek, I didn't miss anything. So anyway.
No, you picked a good part to go.
So what did you think overall? The story, all that?
I really enjoyed the movie. It's funny. I think I can speak for Dad here. Top Gun Maverick is one of the family favorite movies. And I think that Jerry Bruckheimer and Joseph Kosinski, they've kind of formed this duo where, if it's loud, if it's fast,
right,
they're going to do a really good job making a movie about whatever that particular loud and fast machine is, whether it's fighter pilots or it's race cars. So, I thought the movie was very entertaining. What I really appreciated was just the detail that the filmmakers went into making sure that this movie showed as far as just that whole F1 experience. I mean, it was down from, like, we got to see kind of what the inside of a wind tunnel looked like.
Which was beyond cool.
Absolutely cool. I mean, I've been around racing my whole life, and I've never really had an inside look of what a Formula One wind tunnel looks like.
Yep.
And so just seeing that on the big screen, I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yep.
And then the simulator too.
Mm-hmm.
They showed a lot of time in the simulator, both drivers, and so both drivers in the film. So just seeing things like that, and then the smallest details, like even the leaderboards, when they would show the screens, it looked exactly like I was watching a Grand Prix on Sundays. And two, another thing that I really appreciate about the movie was just how amazing the cinematography was.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they were able to, they filmed all those scenes, and it really looked like, the main characters, Sonny Hayes and Josh Pierce, they were, it looked like they were racing against the guys that we know today in Formula One, like Max and Carlos Sainz, Leclerc, Hamilton, Fernando. So it was really cool to see that. And of course, my boy Fernando did have a couple cameos, so I was really excited about that too.
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoyed it. I think the story was a little,
improbable,
say far-fetched.
Yeah.
I kept nudging Dad. I was like, hey, you're not that much older than Sonny Hayes. So, the F1 dream is still alive. There's still a little spark there.
That's right.
But overall, I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was very entertaining. And shout out to Lewis, not only the most accomplished driver, statistically in Formula One history, but he is now a very successful movie producer.
Exactly. And you could tell that his touch was on this movie, because, like Derek said, the detail was just amazing. Now, there was one crash sequence, I won't ruin it for you, but it was just sort of like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, but the rest of it, the racing footage was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And so yeah, I thought it was really good. So a couple of questions for you, Derek. Obviously, Drive to Survive on Netflix, it's been out for quite a while now. You kind of got to wonder about its shelf life in terms of, will it continue to pull the kind of numbers that it's been pulling? What do you think about this movie, F1? Do you think that it is going to bump viewer interest around the world, but especially the United States?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, one of the biggest movie stars of our time, Brad Pitt. The fact that he agreed to do a movie about Formula One, I think speaks volume in itself.
Yeah.
Just the fact that he was interested in this project, and then again, look at the big names. I mean, Jerry Bruckheimer, that guy's produced amazing films.
Yeah. Decades.
And then Joseph Kosinski. I mean, he's kind of starting to really show the world that, I mean, he's one of the next big filmmakers.
Yeah.
So he's certainly, again, I said it before, Top Gun Maverick is one of our family favorite movies.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we've watched it in the 3 years it's been released, but
a few.
he was a director for that movie, and then this one was also a very, very well done film.
Yeah.
So I think that he's already a big name, but I think he's just kind of getting started. So the fact that names like that were attached to this project, it's a big deal. And I wanted to ask you, because I remember just being a kid talking to you.
Yep.
And just saying, like, Dad, why is it so hard to watch a Formula One race here in the U.S.? And because the coverage at times was limited.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't recall a time that we missed a race, but it was like you weren't getting the kind of access I think a fan really wants to get.
Right.
And it was just like, Derek, it's the biggest sport in Europe, this and soccer. But in the United States, it just doesn't have the following. And here we are all these years later. I want to ask you the question. I mean, did you ever see Formula One on a mainstream level in the United States like it is now?
No, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I first got involved in racing and all that, I mean, I drove in my first race when I was 14 years old. And if somebody had said, hey, you live in Houston and somewhere down the road, there will be a Formula One track in Austin, that's 2.5 hours away, I would have said, oh, I can't wait to get old. And now we have races not only in Austin, but, Miami and Las Vegas. So, yeah, the sport has just grown exponentially. And of course, it's gone from, let's face it, back in the day, you go to a racetrack and the facilities were pretty primitive. We were just happy to have a track that had some guardrails, and that was about it. And then you look at what we have today, and it's no different than going to a sporting event at AT&T Stadium here in Dallas. I mean, it's just an amazing experience for the fans and amazing facilities. And so the growth and the sophistication of the sport has been absolutely remarkable.
I think it's pretty incredible how, I want to say that the last U.S. Grand Prix in Indianapolis, until, of course, we had the race in COTA the first year in 2012, I think it was in 2007 was the last time they raced. So just think about that for a second. From that stretch of 2008 to 2012, there were no Grand Prix in the United States.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden, like, boom, the track in Austin gets built. And then just shortly after that, Drive to Survive is released. And then now we've got not, just one, but we've got, then Miami came in. So we had 2 Grand Prix in the U.S. And now we've got 3 with Vegas.
Yep.
And then now we've got this, big movie done by one of the greatest producers of all time, and Jerry Bruckheimer.
Right.
And so, and then, a big movie star named Brad Pitt. So I'm just like, wow. I mean, I did the type of growth just in the States in that short amount of time. It's pretty incredible. So I think it's just going to continue to grow. It was cool being at the movie theater last night. I saw a guy wearing a Red Bull shirt.
Yep.
So, I mean, I didn't see it really happening. But, I love that it's happening because, I mean, I love Formula One and it's an amazing sport. And, I think it's just going to continue to grow in the U.S. and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, me too. And one last question and I'll let you go. So we've got the movie Rush. We've got Ford versus Ferrari. Now we have F1. Does the movie F1 compare to either of those other 2 movies?
They're all unique in their special way.
Yeah.
I don't really think you can compare Ford versus Ferrari to Rush or F1 just because it's a different class of racing.
Okay.
But I will say that there's a lot of elements from Rush and F1.
Yes.
And it's funny, I was actually going to bring it up. I was like, hey, you guys need to do I know the movie came out 12 years ago, came out 2013, But I think that there needs to be a review on Rush.
Oh, all right. We'll do it. You want to be a part of this?
I would love to.
All right.
So I've seen it once or twice. So
Yeah.
but I probably need to go back and watch it again. Yeah, very comparable. It was funny because I leaned over to you and during the movie and and Brad Pitt's character, again, not to spoil a whole lot, but he kind of, was to me a little reminiscent of the great 2007 world champion Kimi Räikkönen. Just a very, very naturally talented guy. I told Dad, I was like, I bet if Kimmy jumped into a car in his 50s, he'd be fast.
Yeah.
Without having done a whole lot
Yeah.
for the last, however long he's been retired. But
And he still wouldn't care.
and he still wouldn't care. And so the guy that everybody always kind of put Kimmy in the same breath with was James Hunt.
Yeah.
And so, there's a little bit of comparison there. And of course the rival, that was a real rivalry between Hunt and Lauda. But, and of course this one was, fiction. And so between Joshua Pierce and Sonny Hayes, again, not to spoil too much, but there's definitely some similarities there. You're going to see with Rush, it's more of a, it was a real thing that happened.
Yeah,
You lived through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back when,
Based on history.
TV was black and white. So,
Exactly. We had TV back then? Oh, yeah.
I was going to say smoke signals, right?
Exactly. Smoke signals.
So I think that they do compare a little bit, but again, just the fact that the story of Rush, it actually happened. It was real life versus this story here, which is it was a fictional story.
Right.
So the fact that it's about Formula One, that's where they compare. And fun fact, the great Hans Zimmer scored both Rush and F1 the movie.
Yeah.
So another brilliant score from Hans Zimmer.
Yep.
Both of those films, outstanding scores. So
Yep.
but yes, there's going to be similarities there. But I do think that just because it's about Formula One, but I do think given that they are, one is fiction, one is actually a true story, there are some differences there. So I think it'd be a lot of fun to do a Rush review.
Yeah, I think, as long as Sabrina will let us do that.
Yeah.
We want her in on this deal too. So
Absolutely.
awesome. All right. So, folks, highly recommend it. Go see F1. You'll probably want to watch it twice. Yeah, thought they did just a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it, and I think we're going to go see it again.
I think we will. So, Derek, thanks a bunch.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Great to have you with us.
Always love being on.
That's great. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, y'all take care.